Welcome back, everybody, to week 3 of the Paladins Premier League. You know, if we're going to kick off the day with the set like that, I am all about it.
That was a doozy, but I mean, the battle for the bottom, that's kind of what we called it, but it was a really, really top-tier match, and that's kind of what you expect. I mean, these are all incredible players, no matter, we had sweep week last week, but that just sort of speaks to how good these top 3 European teams are. I mean, Virtus.Pro and Mousesports are still some of the best players in the world.
And congratulations again to Mousesports for getting their first organization victory within the PPL.
Yeah.
And we just saw Virtus.Pro, but we're actually going to be seeing them again, this time against Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels good. Fnatic, they are in the running for the top spot today. Still undefeated, but they've got a doubleheader. Not as Sincere also have a doubleheader. Probably the harder of the two. Not as Sincere have to play both Fnatic and Ninjas in Pajamas. Right now, Fnatic, you can't really let your foot off the gas, though, so to speak. Virtus.Pro were off to a slow start in Season 1, but it was just a matter of time. It was around that Week 3. We started to see more sparks of life out of this roster, and then in Weeks 4, they're starting to take wins off of the top 2 teams, right? Fnatic, historically, has never lost to Virtus.Pro, so they're going to be, having that reputation to uphold.
I mean, it's easy to look at the set that we have going on later between Na'Vi and Fnatic as, okay, well, these are the guys that are undefeated. Yeah. This is the PWC rematch, and that's going to be what determines things, right? Well, not really, because we've got a lot of teams. When you have NIP that picked up a couple victories, if they come through and show out big, they could go ahead and swindle someone out of it. So really, Fnatic, like you said, got to keep gassing through this entire thing.
Yeah, it's going to be a pretty important matchup for them. But, I mean, if you're not familiar with the guys in black and orange, let us meet Fnatic.
Triple kill coming up for Thiel as they get a quadra kill for Thiel on McCollum.
Do you have any more cooldowns? Anything left to give? He whirls extremely low HP, but Bugsy, Adrian Bugowski finds a big frag.
That's a incredible Dread Serpent there, but guess what, ladies and gentlemen? There's still
Let him know!
A minute left. Quadra from Pacheco.
Hang on, we got to talk about this real quick. Smashing 2 home. Bittner with a nice ultimate off of Jim.
We can do it just after burn point.
Yeah, I'm gonna save my ult. Dead.
Nice, good job, guys.
A lot of powerful players on that roster, and you saw right there at the end, Gareth showing out as a consistent player for Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the longest standing members of the core of this roster and of European Paladins as a whole. Bugsy, Gera, Thiel go all the way back to the Founders Tournament, which is coming up on 2 years ago back in Sweden. If you were around back then, I was just kind of coming in and discovering Paladins. You weren't around. It was Rain Day and Vox and Dry Bear back when those guys started getting to play. He's played support for the majority of his career, and now more than ever, and now with this style more than ever, I'm very curious to just see Fnatic play, because I think this is a style they've been adopting early in Season 1. They played it a lot before it was cool type of thing, and this is the season I want to see them pop off with this. Gera, he has been able to sort of heal that, and doing that is not easy at this top tier. We talk about what does a top tier support need to do? They need to be able to provide the healing and control the fight with their big ultimates and stuff without their fraggers having to slow down in the slightest. They don't want to be thinking about healing. They need to be so focused, hitting their shots, doing what they need to do. And Gera has already been doing this in 3 DPS comps for a full season. So if it's anyone's meta, I am of the mind that it could be Fnatic's meta.
And yeah, think about the convergence, you think about the Dread Serpent, and the fact that these are ultimates that are game changers.
Yeah.
They're a way that you can really kick things off for your team. So as the support player, when you're the one that has the potential to dictate when a fight is actually going to take off, try and in comms give that initiative to the rest of your team, then you need to be a powerful performer both on the field and in the headset.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been a pretty vocal leader for this team. People have come and gone off the roster, but Gera has been there basically the whole time. And sort of going back to almost their implosion, as I would put it, after DreamHack Valencia when they were D69 and Perdo and Elven Path and Cheapo were playing with Gera and Bugsy. He was kind of the one that I talked to after that, and he was like, I have no interest in going anywhere, really. I don't have any plans besides to bounce back from this. And it's really been a rebuilding process for Gera and Bugsy, and picking up Thiel, and then Bittner, and Saib coming and going, and now it's finding that footing and finding who they are. Fnatic have had it a long time coming, so to speak. They don't have any world championships outside of Theo. You know, Gara's 0-2 there. There's a lot of hunger for this kid to have a great season, and this could be the one for Fnatic.
And we've also been watching players like Bittner, who was previously a member of Virtus.Pro, which we did just get to see them narrowly defeated in the first set, and maybe a little heartbreak out of that because that's probably the set that the likelihood of them being able to take it away was a bit higher than here against Fnatic. But they also showed the adaptability that in some cases during the previous week didn't work out as well for them, but here finally seemed to be getting a bit of footing.
Yeah, and you know, Gara tweeted out earlier today that he just hit level 420 in Paladins and he's feeling good. And you know, memes aside, that's a lot of Paladins, right? And Bugsy is that way, and a lot of these guys on Fnatic are very high levels, and especially when you look at some of them are new, right? When you're looking at Fisheko and Bittner, they're kind of newer to the scene. They're trying to play catch up, but these guys play the game a lot, understand it a lot, and that's what makes them so dangerous, is because they can do just about anything they set their mind to.
Man, if only he hit 420 on 420, because that's actually not that far off
yeah,
of today.
it's a couple days from now.
Yeah, so for shame, for shame. But nonetheless, this is a very important matchup for Fnatic because of how they need to continue through, and Stone Keep is the first place we're going to be.
It's a really good map, I think, for Fnatic as well. This is a really strong map to put their best foot forward. And looking at this draft today, Eevee was banned out in every single game across the last set, all 5 games. And Doodle was just kind of like coming into his own with Eevee, and it was already a factor. So. Yeah. To be quite honest, I just don't expect to see it again, because even before all the changes with Eevee, who just got stronger with the Season 2 changes for the most part, and the great rebinding, Fisheko still did it in Season 1, and he still slapped with it. He still looks so disgusting on the Eevee. Lazy wasn't even really playing it, so the conversation changed from, you know, Lazy was obviously one of the best Eevees of old, but then you couldn't help but say, you know, this kid is the best Eevee in the world. A, he's the only one playing it, and B, he's still smashing people with it. It's crazy.
And last week, it was really cool to watch a lot of the players come out with Eevee that hadn't been seen previously. So now getting banned away once more, it looks like the streak of an Eevee-less day continues.
Right. And I mean, we haven't seen it yet, but it's got to be Unlimited Power or Madara. I mean, there is I think, a nasty Eevee hiding within this roster of Virtus.Pro as well. We've seen them perform with it in the PGS, and at this point, they've kind of proven that there's nothing that they can't do. And we even talk about that a lot of times, you know, when we cast like Burrito and Kanga and stuff, and these teams in the PGS, mechanically, there really isn't too big of a difference here between these top PGS teams and these PPL teams. It's this experience, it's the leadership, decision-making, drafting, and strategies overall that is what is going to separate these top-tier teams from even those top-tier PGS teams.
Yeah, and with Cassie, once again, slipping through, gets first picked. And that's just going to continue to be a standard, I think. If she manages to make it throughout a draft without getting picked or banned, then I'll be very surprised.
And I'm kind of looking at Genos Xin here. This is something that was banned out a lot in the first set, and we know both teams having Zins now. Bugsy playing a decent amount of Xin for Fnatic, and Elvenpath, you know, still sort of defining who's playing what for Virtus.Pro, but he was the one who did play it when they managed to pick it up. They get Genos. They get Fernando as well, which is a pretty early pick, but there's not many frontliners left on the board. And now Fnatic will have their chance to take the Tyrant instead.
Yeah, so Xin getting locked in for Fnatic means we won't see that combination with Genos, but Bomb King as well, where we saw a few players actually during the first set, and particularly on Virtus.Pro, even Unlimited Power was having some really great moments with that, and not going to have it this time around, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big pick for Fnatic as well. Fisheko loving his blaster play all in all, right? Whether it's the Eevee, whether it's the Bomb King. Haven't gotten to see his Drogos in forever, but that's the case across the board no matter where you're looking. And the Shaolin will come through. So taking away the Xin is big for Fnatic. Like I said, likely to be Bugsy playing that, but getting it separated from Genos. I'm curious to see the impact we had, because we just saw VP with almost this lineup. 4-0 Mouse Sports on Stonekeep. So we know Stonekeep is not a problem for Virtus.Pro. We know that so far what they have is not a problem for Virtus.Pro. And I think this could shape up to be a really interesting matchup.
I was just thinking about that, you know, when they were on the outs and it was 2-1 against them, they chose to go to Stone Keep, and Madara on the Kinessa had some really great play, and they did a great job of specifically on the push, locking down both the low ground, anyone that was trying to defend there, and then contesting on the high ground as well to leave no safety room for their opponents. But nonetheless, those are the drafts. What do you think of them?
Man, I mean, the big thing for me here is the Xin. I mean, if Bugsy isn't able to keep Kinessa under control, and that's what's going to be hard, is because, like, it's tough to push into a backline with Shaolin, Leon, and Kinessa. That's like, it's almost unflankable at that point because there's just so much lethality back there. But I think Bugsy has a lot on his shoulders to keep Virtus.Pro under control, keep this Kinessa specifically under control.
Well, it looks like we're ready for game number 1 of this set, so casters, take it away.
I've taken it. Now we will put it away, and I'll put it away in your hand. Put it in your pocket. We'll keep it there.
Keep it.
And then let's take it out because now they actually need to cast. So that's all right. We'll throw it out to them. We'll give a little. You want to give them a little?
Kind of looked like I could hit the
a little sprinkle. You know,
the logo
a little dust. I like it. There we go. We're starting it off. Rain Day. Gormizer here on game number 2, set number 2. Excuse me. Game number 1 here. Virtus.Pro Fnatic. A lot of history between these teams, especially Elvin Path, his former teammates. You know, in Jera and Bugsy, and kind of finding the also potentially the claim that he made of Itzbitner being the best damage carry in the entire world, now given away on loan for Fnatic this season. That could come back to bite him.
And it's just one of those things that when you do have, I mean, especially high praise for someone like that.
That's high praise.
Now you're going against them, and now they are the ones that could potentially take your team down. And this is one of those instances where we just saw Virtus.Pro have a very close set, but still come out without no wins, no anything really stepping them forward. But this was a map where they were really dominant for. But Fnatic on the other side, I mean, they haven't lost at all.
They really haven't. And if you guys think that Fnatic are going to continue this streak, make sure to leave a like here in Facebook. And if you think Virtus.Pro are going to come through and find their first win as well in the PPL of this season, leave a heart. It's interesting because, you know, I could see it going. Yeah, maybe Virtus.Pro can make that miracle run. It wouldn't be the first time. The problem is Virtus.Pro have a horrible record against Fnatic. They have yet to beat Fnatic. So Virtus.Pro not going up with the odds in their favor. It's, you know, it's not the Hunger Games here where they're ever there. But unfortunately, you know, they have an opportunity to come back again. It's not a battle royale, so they will not have only one life.
It does kind of feel like this is the kind of set where if they take a game, it might be the only one they grab. It's just one of those things that even if you get yourself that one step forward, even if it's this one, the question is whether or not Fnatic let them do it again. And that's kind of the big thing. A lot of veterans on Fnatic not prone to letting themselves lose over and over and over again. And at this point, I mean, depending on where they're standing, of course, with the way the last couple weeks have gone, they may be looking at this as the warm-up for Na'Vi. Whereas Virtus.Pro are putting a lot of weight onto this win.
Fnatic need to put weight on it as well. They need every win today if they want any chance of claiming the first seed in the PPL. Na'Vi after this, but of course business as usual against Virtus.Pro, taking the left side up onto the Cathedral, and Madara says hello to Fisheko, and probably the rudest way possible to get an opening kill.
Nice start to it all, at least being able to get things on the roll. Bugsy relatively low on the side, can't really show his face, and this is actually really strong for Virtus.Pro. Unfortunately, they do end up losing their Kinessa, though, so a lot of the pressure they gained, they lose just as fast.
Bugsy takes down Elvin Path, and you know, teammates battling back again. 2 big minds, 2 big players, the oldest in the books here. And they have to go at it on the damage carries. I mean, who would have thought that we'd see Bugsy and Elvin Path dueling each other on a Xin and a Leon? That's just not typical things.
They are a-changing. And whether or not it's in favor of Virtus.Pro, I mean, we've seen Elvin Path actually have some pretty phenomenal performances so far in the PPL, changing to a lot of the more damaging roles. Not quite working out for him here. Of course, it does help having MTZ
96,
being able to flex around. But
99.
Fnatic just take it.
Easy objective number 1 goes their way, so it ends up being Fnatic who continue to dominate, look clean, look flawless, despite initially losing Fisheko that rapidly. It just shows you the caliber of players, shows you the caliber of field, creating that space, dropping back. Jera, instant he pops that Earthen Guard. You've got Mending Spirits heading towards him to get him back to full, thanks to the 60% extra healing. 2 minutes and 5 seconds now to push this one through. Virtus.Pro still have to get a little bit more rhythm, establish themselves here in this game.
And it showcases exactly how well they can approach a fight. You lose one big member very early on, and then you just shrug it off. You fight 4v5 and actually take it not only back in your favor, but relatively easily grabbing up that point. Now this push going pretty smooth as well for your team. You're about to hit maybe the rough patch. If there's going to be one, the range on Virtus.Pro should help them out a little bit more here.
And that's the key. You know, we've seen Inara do well against Fernando, just Fernando. We've also seen that struggle. And Virtus.Pro were the ones who showed how it struggled against NTBs last time around, that solo Inara. But what it was, they had the Barrack and the Fernando. This time, they're really not running with as much wiggle room and dropping down right at the end. MTZ using Last Stand most likely in his loadout to just get a little bit of healing. He's getting the Astral Mark as well, but it's just not enough. Fnatic find too much damage, steals too much pressure. And that's just the whole lineup for me on Fnatic. Oppressive players with oppressive champions doing impressive things.
And wouldn't that just be how it is, that you come through, you find 3 really good kills, big kills, that in most scenarios would maybe change the way the game's going, and then the payload gets pushed anyway. It doesn't really matter. Elven Path, I think, picked up a double there, and it just gets shugged away, and you see Kinessa being able to kind of follow through. They've got kills. They're actually showing up, but that was about the only time they showed up. They got 1 kill at the beginning on Madara, and then 3 kills after the payload finds its home.
Noticeably, the Master Riding pickup from Theo. MTZ follows suit because sometimes it's more of a necessity that you don't want to get there behind or so much farther behind the enemy front line. So they both pick that up, and now they're both basically like they had normal riding in terms of speed, in terms of their match each other. Dread Serpent here in case things get fishy for Gera and the squad. Madmac actually finds its Bittner's toes, and Madara takes down Fisheko. That was a through time and space that I don't think Bittner thought he was going to get hit by.
A nice shot. Gets rid of Bugsy, unlimited power, at least being able to drive a little bit for his team. With comeback mechanic, Virtus.Pro actually should be able to get a lot done right here, right now, as they're forcing Theo and the rest all away. But Fnatic do still have time for one more big push, and honestly, they're probably going to come into it hard.
And Theo really paying attention, looking, where do I want to throw with a seismic crash? Who do we need to stun out? There's nothing yet. The pressure is enough. They're all backing off. Virtus.Pro giving Fnatic maybe too much respect here. It's 54% on the objective for them, backing off completely, and Fisheko taking advantage of the space, slaying Madmac there. No healing. That's going to be a problem trying to retake this point.
That was just the full retreat. Fisheko maybe showing exactly why they needed to fall back, being able to find a kill right there, but it's impressive to me that Virtus.Pro gave up that much that easily. They didn't even try to go on with the fight, but a nice hit. Fisheko goes down.
And you see Jaros turning around to try and give him a little bit of healing, but now maybe no time left. Seismic crash from Theo, stuns out the shield, no cooldown for that, and he gets slain immediately. Theo finding another clutch blow, although he'll trade his life to unlimited power. It's 4v4, both healers still alive here. Bugsy buying time on the billow, on the point. Gord goes down where he's going to be fighting, and Elven Path and him dueling yet again. This time Elven Path comes out on top. King Bomb there slays him. Fisheko, he's been unstoppable. It's one or the other, and if it's not Theo, if it's not Bugsy, if it's not Bittner, it seems to be Fisheko who cleans up the fight, and Fnatic take a 3rd point in a row.
It's got to be incredibly rough when you are, in this case, Virtus.Pro, going against a team where they have 4 carries. They are going to have 4 people, maybe even
Theo
5 if you really
carry.
want to give them that little bit of healer as well. But I mean, just the way they're going, the way that fight went, comeback mechanic, Virtus.Pro just couldn't hold on to the point. And that just shows again how strong Fnatic is. I mean, you just saw a very long set with Virtus.Pro. They didn't look bad, but it just shows the gap, how strong these top EU teams are.
And it really does, you know, in the game versus Mouse Sports and Virtus.Pro, a lot of mistakes were made. They were playing a very run-and-gun style of Paladins, and Fnatic make very little mistakes. The only team that makes less mistakes probably than Fnatic are NIP and Na'Vi. NIP and Fnatic about the same. Na'Vi makes the least mistakes, I think, of any team I've ever seen in Paladins, which is crazy. And that's why they're so good. And I think Virtus.Pro, despite doing good things, Fnatic are just not breaking. They're bending, but they're not breaking. They're the bamboo of Paladins competition, and I love it.
Well, it's one of those things. It's kind of like a formation. You'll just envelop what they throw at you, and then you surround it. And at that point, you find yourself able to completely eliminate, eradicate, destroy your enemy. And you're at 1:15 seconds left, maybe finding a 4-0 here, which is what Virtus.Pro is maybe expecting from them.
Noticeably, chain reaction being used. You've seen a lot of Royal Subjects for Bomb King, and that's something that Fisheko's put a stylized choice on for this game, and it's worked. Bittner finds another kill onto the Cassie, just somebody who's been staying a little bit silent, as Cassie can do. A lot of damage from range, 680 per shot. The blast shot helping to clean it up. A disengaged, not available, but a double kill's all he'll need. The bow, and look at these two. Get stunned away. Theo, you do you, boo-boo, and ends up being probably the icing on a beautiful cake, which is a Fnatic victory to start out the game 1 in this set against VP.
Keeping it clean, honestly, kind of, I would assume if you came into this set looking at what has happened the last couple of weeks, what you would expect, although some shining moments, little gems in the rough there from Virtus.Pro. Not enough to get them a win, not even enough to get them a point, but just enough to be able to say, okay, we're not going to go completely over without taking a fight.
Well, that was a great one. Game 1 goes away at Fnatic. Let's send it back to the desk to wrap it up.
So Virtus.Pro once again experiences a 4-0 on Stone Keep, but this time on the receiving end.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, great map for Fnatic overall. Not exactly a map that Virtus.Pro can't navigate. Good drafts on both sides. The big difference, though, was without Genos, going for the Yomis in instead of Guillotine, that was the big lack. That was the big hole in the plan for Mouse Sports in their prior set, the 0-8. Not exactly what Bugsy was up to this game around. He was finding some key frags in the backline, and when it wasn't him, you know, the casters were right. It was Fasheko. When it wasn't Fasheko, it's Bittner. When it wasn't Bittner, it was Thiel. Thiel started the first round, I think he was 4-0 on a Nara, so he's there. And anytime somebody from Fnatic would die, it's like, it's not out of position, so to speak, but it's someone from Virtus.Pro had to, like, peek that corner to do that. And when any time they would give an opportunity to Fnatic, there was someone there to just kill them almost instantly. It was pretty crazy to watch.
And if you go head-to-head looking at Anara versus Nando, then it's really difficult for him to hold his own from an objective standpoint. And then just the follow-up that was happening with the remainder of the team from Fnatic made it really difficult for Virtus.Pro to break through.
Yeah, I'm not personally looking at a Fernando as the win condition there, especially with Genos. Inara being pocket healed by Damba is just going to win that objective war the whole time. And that's the fun part about these 3 DPS comps, is that the front lines aren't the win conditions, and they're not fun to watch when they are, in my opinion. It's a lot more fun to watch these 3 DPS, some of the best players in the world. See these old tank mains start to switch back to DPS. I mean, I personally don't know that I've ever seen Elven Path play DPS. Like, I've seen Thiel's Cassie way back in the day. I've seen Gara's Cassie way back in the day. But Elven Path back on DPS, just, it feels good.
Yeah. Now we're taking a hop on over to Frog Isle, where we could see a lot of the same as far as bringing that triple DPS to the table.
I want to see Eevee personally.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's going to happen.
Well,
definitely not here.
I want to see whatever Eevee is hibernating in Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, I would love to see a VP Eevee. But, I mean, when you've got even Fnatic respecting it, I think the statement is there for sure. And she's, like I said, she kind of exploded back into viability where she just wasn't picked forever. And now Fnatic have that question of, are we going to let it through? There's still that question for them. Is it viable? And they will let it through. Finally.
Ooh, so maybe we'll see it. I mean, Eevee, everyone's always enjoyed her, so I feel like the second something would change where it makes her just even the slightest bit more viable, then everyone rushes for this. What are we going to do with her? I don't want anybody else to play her, but I want to play her.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we've seen. So maybe.
VP taking their time with this first pick. They're going to go with the Cassie. And I will say, still solid here. But the snipers are also a big conversation, and Eevee is definitely part of that equation, and she is a big counterbalance to those snipers. And the reason that, even though this is a small map, the snipers can succeed here is just due to the length of the line of sight available on this map. And Eevee is a character that doesn't struggle with said lines of sight. She blinks right on over them and gets right to where she needs to be to succeed, but neither Fnatic nor VP have gone for it just yet.
Kiness is also available if somebody decides they want to pick that up in this matchup. Frog Isle can work, but choosing to go ahead and select a frontliner, sticking with the Nando after game number 1. But maybe they'll go ahead and continue with solo frontline. Maybe they'll add a little something to it.
I think both these teams just feeling like they like the triple DPS, and VP do scoop up the Eevee. So we'll get to see who's playing it, how effective is it going to be, and how do Fnatic deal with this? You have to imagine that Fnatic will go Kinessa here. They've gone Kinessa pretty much the majority of the time of Season 2. I mean, Bugsy, even in Season 1, has loved Kinessa on this map. He ran it at Worlds and absolutely crushed with it. But flanks weren't as big of a deal at Worlds, so that's definitely something to consider.
Speaking of flanks.
Yeah, Leon Buck.
So that's
neither of those picks scream Bugsy to me, though.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what exactly he'll be hopping on. And Leon has been a pick for Elven Path, so he's not going to have that option this time. But Genos getting locked in here for VP.
Yeah. Genos going very late, which is pretty noticeably. And that sort of When Zin's banned out, they are kind of two peas in a pod right now, and Kinessa will come through for a VP, so they get the question and the answer, so to speak, in Eevee and Kinessa. So now Fnatic obviously have gone a different route with their flanker. They've gone for Buck, and right now, I think this last pick will tell us a decent amount. Strix, Bugsy tends to be the sniper player for Fnatic. It's just a matter of Buck and Leon and where they're going. Bittner used to be the Buck player for VP, and Fisheko has historically been the Buck player for Fnatic as well, but good drafts from both sides. But frankly, I am leaning towards VP's draft. I like their draft a little bit more here, and I think Fnatic's is slightly harder to pull off.
I mean, Virtus.Pro, they have a lot of reach with their draft and everything, but Fnatic, they are difficult to actually face off against. So let's go ahead and see what happens in game number 2 of the set.
You know, these drafts are interesting. I think the Cassie is a big game changer here, and I think the Buck is as well. I wouldn't even look at the Eevee, though she's going to be doing Eevee things, and that's going to be difficult. I think Buck, typically, when Cauterize is built up, when you do have possibly Ensnare being run, and you're hitting for 900 per shot, 2 of those shots kill Eevee. Just think about that. She's only 1,800 health. 2 Ensnare bonus shots kill her. So that's a big thing to look at, and I think Buck does well in that. And the only thing is that I'm worried about is if Eevee can get her Wormhole and Blink and sustain with Flicker, that might be very hard for them to lock down early game.
And we've been seeing kind of a shift, I want to say, in the playstyle of Buck, not necessarily always going for the bulk up anymore. Maybe switching it up here in terms of talent. Fnatic definitely have a little bit more work cut out for them, although with the way they performed on the last map, I'm not sure that it's going to be as much as they really have to give otherwise. Eevee, Kinessa is going to be difficult, and I mean, we've been watching these guys since they were B5 playing Eevee. They love having this champion on the side of Virtus.Pro. It's actually going to be Elven Path on it, so it's not even going to be one of the members I'm used to seeing.
Well, it's Bittner on the Buck, and he seems to be running. That was a leg day loadout. So it seems as if he might be running. Well, leg day, you know what, honestly, this looks like a bulk up loadout. So he might have actually switched that, but leg day just a little bit more jump. He's going to be able to recover, get some ammo back, but playing a little bit more patiently. He's going for the sustain route too, and you'll often see pro players do this and basically just say, let's take the easiest common denominator as far as minimalizing our mistakes. Ensnare, you know, heroically, big payoffs, but also big risks. Bulk up, not the case there, and he's going to be able to get very healthy. Look at that! Elven Path, hello! Nice to meet you. My name's Bittner. You kicked me off your team, remember that?
What a trace as well, and with that, and almost immediately, you see Virtus.Pro just steps back. Every single one of them, all 4 members, I guess, remaining, fall back. They still find some kills, mainly on Bittner, who's getting maybe a bit too aggressive, but the rest of the team's just, okay, cool, we'll take the space and vacate it. I mean, keep it around on the point.
81% for Fnatic now, looking to continue zoning with Bugsy over on the side. The Flare giving them all the information. Elven Path has to have a better start, and he has a good chance of finding Fisheko here. MTZ cleans that up. Elven Path can do some work, but again, Bugsy locks him down. Theo so low, but standing on the gourd, getting healed up by Gera. I think that Mending Spirit's actually meant to go to Theo. Gera actually heals his Bittner, who has his own form of healing, but they're confident enough that they've done what they need to do. The slow from the net shot sets up Bugsy for a beautiful, beautiful snipe downtown, and his Bittner is just controlling the pace of this matchup as I assumed he would.
And one of the things we mentioned earlier in some of the previous sets, but bears worth mentioning now, is that Flare revealing to the team as it is, so making sure everybody knows where anyone on Virtus.Pro is on the side of Fnatic, so you have a little bit more playability. I mean, if you're a Buck, if you're a Leon, you use that to reposition and try to find maybe a new fight that might not have been in your favor before.
And that moment right there, you know what? Bulk up was the right choice. It was the right choice. I mean, he just gets blindsided for the Cassie burst. I think he even takes a shot from Kinessa on the backside, and he stays alive. 2,600 health back, getting the healing card, so he gets that extra. I think he might have actually been running a little bit of damage reduction afterwards. But either way, unlimited power and Elven Path, the rest of Virtus.Pro end up stalling here, finding a couple of clutch kills. It's been a tough day for Elven on the Eevee.
Not quite the performance you want to have. Even there, finding a good shot, but you don't have as much staying power. You're not able to keep the fight going, which is really what you want your Eevee to do. You want that damage to be applied a little bit more. Blink in, maybe find 2 shots instead of just the 1, and when it connects, hope that it doesn't just get healed off immediately. Unfortunately, he hasn't had that staying power. His health bar not really helping him out in that case, and even there, where he's able to find something, it's just not enough for the team.
Oh, very good flashbang as well. And I'm not sure if he knows where he's going. Unauthorized use gets hit. Luckily, it ends up happening. Beautiful stun by Thiel around the corner. They're both sitting so low. No one's had a chance to clean them up, but Fnatic have done a great job of stalling out and delaying the inevitable, which is the fact that Eevee and, of course, Unlimited Power are going to probably have to go back to base after these engagements. But a great turnaround. Elven Path maybe extending the conversation a bit.
Being able to stop Fish Echo right there. One more shot from Buck is all it's going to take. Up in the air, comes right back down.
He's in trouble.
But he's not completely dead just yet. No one's going to follow him through time and space. Not going to be on the mark. And Elven Path's still barely alive, but there's the shot.
977 for a headshot. Didn't even need the ensnare bonus. 2 of those puts Eevee in the bag, especially a net shot giving you an extra 200 damage. It's just so hard for her to contend. It's a health pool. This is a math problem for her, not necessarily a skill problem. Buck is just not doing anything super extraordinary, despite his tracking being absolutely phenomenal. It's just he's got a lot more to work with this bulk up. Unlimited Power cleans it up in overtime, about to tick away with Thiel still there. And Garrett getting some nice heals onto the front line.
Making sure to keep him alive. Thiel is low, but just like that, he's back to full health and not worried at all. Elven Path blinking forward, then Thiel gets that one. The snake almost
I thought it was the snake.
Jera, so
They
close.
get it. They get it. Thiel grabs 2 down there. Mad Mac goes down. I mean, this is just Gera, little Jera, hitting a Steven Gerrard 40-yard bomber for Liverpool. He's just feeding Thiel everything he needs to be successful, and Thiel is doing such a good job in this set of finding last hits.
Overall, this team firing on all cylinders, I guess, is the best way to describe them. I mean, they are working perfectly, exactly the way they need to. If they were taking on NIP, if they were taking on Na'Vi right now, this would be incredibly close. But Virtus.Pro just can't quite handle what's being thrown at them. I mean, even finding a lot of kills, Bittner, Fish Echo, they've fallen a lot. But they haven't been able to get rid of Thiel that much.
Yeah.
And they haven't really been able to touch Jera in the backline. He has just been free-firing these heals.
Unlimited Power is still 5-2. I mean, that shows you the caliber of player he is. Still in this roster against Fnatic, he is more than 2 as far as a KDA, taking many people down with him. Bugsy, though, just been a little bit too hard for them to handle. And if he's got the flare over there, he's got vision on when she starts to jump, where she's jumping from. It's a very hard matchup for her to win on Frog Isle, when these are really the only engagements you have to shoot at each other.
And it honestly gives you a little bit more opening, having that flare, that vision, for Bittner to decide how he wants to approach this side. Nice shot coming through as they're all going to be CC'd or running away. He does have
99%.
But it's not going to matter.
Objective capture. Fnatic grab it again. So, I mean, meanwhile, all this is happening. The zone is perfect from them. And they're doing a great job of just holding where they need to hold. Thiel is just up front, creating space. Gera is healing him to the absolute perfection that you would expect of a Maldamba. And with that 450 health there, wow, still to be this effective is incredible for me to see that. And Bugsy's just holding his ground. He hasn't had to move. Really, it's just simple. That's all they're doing. Virtus.Pro maybe complicating things here with this draft, despite it having a lot of potential.
And so far, so good. Maybe looking for another 4-0. Elven Path running away. One more hit, that ice block, keeping him alive, but is it actually going to save your life? A nice knockback, keeping Bittner away from him, at least stalling his death and potentially making this last a little bit longer overall. But Fnatic, at the tail end of the last one, had a full push, and with the way Elven Path went down right there, it looks like they might have another good run.
You know, I'd love to see the KDAs here and just see what we're working with, and also damage, and just see how that's gone. Elven's, 3-6 on this. You know, he's been middle of the pack damage-wise. I mean, the Eevee, great pick. Notice not something he's known for, but in this lineup flexing, we do expect that. It's a good Buck Wild. It's a scary Buck Wild, and it does buy time, which is the most important thing, as Thiel is pushing the payload in straight to the bank. Through time and space, it's going to actually find one, but Fnatic say, you could have them. Game's over. We win. That's 2 in a row. That's 4-0. Again, Fnatic looking very strong against Virtus.Pro.
Take the kill, we'll take the win.
It's a good trade.
Always take that trade.
Yeah.
Like, there's never a reason not to, and I mean, at that case, they killed, I think, everyone except for Bugsy and Jera one more time in that round. I think at the tail end, maybe they added one more onto Bittner, so being able to take fights, just not being able to actually get the zone or the control on the map.
Unfortunate for Virtus.Pro. It was cool to see Eevee, but didn't really work out for them. VP now facing another defeat. If Fnatic can keep this up, let's send it back to the desk and break down what just happened and lead us into game number 3.
Fnatic, they ain't playing no games. Another 4-0.
Definitely not here, and there was just no pressure on Bugsy that entire game. You saw it right out of the gate. Bittner comes through, makes a statement on his old team captain, and says, you know, I am actually the best player in the world. Thank you for reminding me, and finds that frag. Elvenpath, not quite the last person I would have been expecting to play, but I definitely thought it was going to be Unlimited Power or Madara, and traditionally that's what it has been. Unlimited Power, again, still looking great on the Cassie. I think that's sort of been his theme of the day, but we've also seen Elvenpath play that. I don't know, still figuring out who's playing what for VP, but that was the biggest hole in their draft, right? This Eevee just was putting no pressure, and in fact, it was almost like he felt like he was a sniper playing in the back line, trying to just stay alive, this Buck, and even Leon, even Fasheko was getting up there and flanking and putting pressure deep in enemy territory.
And Cassie and Kinessa were staying kind of in that top floating part of the damage sharps, but nonetheless, as a team, weren't able to hold it down because they're getting the shots on them and everything, but it wasn't those last hits and kind of those game-changing plays.
Well, those flankers were really the story, right? It was that first blood, that first fight between Bittner and Elvenpath, and then Bittner creates some space for then Fasheko can move up on Liana, and likewise, that was the exchange you would have probably seen had that fight gone Elvenpath's way. Elvenpath would have opened the door for then Unlimited Power to get aggressive on Cassie, but this was first blood and did not go the way of Elvenpath, and not many of those exchanges did.
I mean, Bittner on the Buck, that's one of the first things to bring him to our attention during that fall LAN, and granted, Buck was in a different place then, but still nonetheless performing very well.
Yep, so we're going to be headed to Brightmarsh here, guys. One more game potentially, unless Virtus.Pro can bounce back. We're in loser's pick, so they get to pick. They want to go here to Brightmarsh. And I think at this point, like I said, if this is anyone's meta, I think it's Fnatic's. Do VP beat them at their own game? I don't think today. So perhaps here on Brightmarsh, they go to triple frontline, which worked for them against Mouse Sports. But it's kind of a passive composition, right? It's like, if you don't win, then we win type of thing, but it's sort of all on you. I don't like triple frontline for the fact that it feels like you almost give up control to your opponents to just bounce back, do something about it.
And there's just been so much strength to Fnatic as a roster, and even if you look at how Jera, for instance, during that game, he was given plenty of room to be able to throw out the heals to everybody and not much pressure on him either, so if you can't take out the healer, the damage is dealing you a lot of issues, and there's just so much that they couldn't quite seem to break through.
Well, we'll see what Virtus.Pro go to. They've been first picking Cassie, along with just about everyone else out here, to be honest. Everyone's got one, and they're all great, and that was like, even after the first round, I think Unlimited Power was still something like 5-2 on it. So it's something that can just succeed for you and pull its own way even when things are looking grim. And we say a lot of times certain things are better with pressure, and that's not untrue for any character, right? Any character looks good and operates better when they're in control, sure. But Cassie seems to be one that she can hold her own even when things aren't going your way.
Yeah, the stats themselves told a little bit of a different story in certain cases with the players of Virtus.Pro during the last game, but then across the board as a team, it wasn't really coming together. So someone like Cassie, always the potential to show out, but it takes more than one good play here and there to be able to actually get the objective for your team.
Absolutely. So doesn't look like they'll be going triple frontline this time. Virtus.Pro definitely leaning on the Fernando, and Fnatic leaning on their Inara. Both those frontliners going both of those ways each and every game so far in this set. Fnatic could go the Eevee, and they will do so. They've got one of the best in the world, and they've got the Genos there to support him. Luminary, I think the conversation is there with Xin as well. It's not as important for Eevee because she's got so much self-sustain already, so the healing is less of it. And I think the Luminary is honestly more of it. And Bittner apparently back on the Buck.
Yeah, I mean, you got the Eevee, you got the Buck. Both of those can be very great recipients from the utility from Genos. So.
And they both do a decent job at surviving the burst from Cassie because they have good self-sustain here. Both those flankers have great self-sustain. So Genos, obviously, in this meta, is keeping about 3 Astro Marks up on his team at any given time, but it takes a little bit of pressure off of Gera knowing that his guys have kind of got their own backs in a couple of instances.
So Virtus.Pro rounding out their composition, got a couple frontliners to them this time around. And Maeve is going to be the last lock-in, so triple flank.
I mean, this is Fnatic style.
Yeah.
Am I surprised a little bit that they went that hard in it? But I think at this point they're up 2-0. They're feeling good. They got their 4-0s, and they're just ready to play their game. They're ready to frag really hard with this lineup.
We were born in the flank life. But with that, let's go ahead and kick it to what could potentially be the last game of the set.
Well, Fisheko on the Eevee is Bittner on the Buck. Bugsy on the Maeve. Either way, any day you have 3 different games and those players playing those champions for their teams, you think that's a tough one to win. But this one game, all 3 of them are playing all 3 of those on the same team on a very close map. This is potentially very troubling.
This could be devastating, I think, is the best way. It could be one of those punches that you don't get up from.
Yeah,
you get
one of
knocked
those
down
all-might
and you
punches,
just
you
stay,
know?
you
Those
stay
plus
laying down.
ultra punches.
Whether it knocked you out or not, you
Yeah.
just don't get back up because that fight is not something you want to take back. Virtus.Pro, I mean, they have to kind of roll with it whether or not they want to or not. From what they did earlier, which was triple tank,
Yeah.
now they're going to have to deal with, I think, something they also ran earlier, a triple flank, but definitely, I don't want to, just not as deadly as I would say as Fnatic is going to be.
I'm curious where they're allocating their resources as far as the talents.
Yeah.
Maeve is so good with Cap Burglar or Street Justice, and with 2 tanks, you might think Street Justice starts to take priority. There's a lot of burst potential with Bugsy going that route. If we could take a look at his loadout, we might get a glimpse as to what he is interested in doing. It does seem like he's going for some damage reduction on that pounce and reducing the cooldown of 9 lives. You got to say that this could be a deck used pretty much anywhere, but most likely Sixth Sense is giving us the key with 4 points into that he is anticipating pouncing more often than not. Street Justice would be my thought, considering they are all in close places. It's going to give him 30% extra damage, or basically a percentage of damage based on missing health added to the initial pounce. It could do wonders in terms of your burst, and he doesn't seem to be... Oh, there we'll know. Yep, it is Street Justice, so... Throwing those knives, 400 apiece, still flexing. 39% on the objective for Fnatic to start.
I mean, you want to talk about tank killer. 4 daggers, 1,600 health, and then you just pounce.
Yeah.
Eliminate the rest of it. Maybe in one go, we've seen it go up to the upwards, I believe, on a Makoa of 2,500. It can hit hard, and it can definitely kind of make a big difference. Although right now, they don't even have to showcase it. Fnatic have been just stalwart standing on the point, 93% like it's nothing.
This is kind of what they've done, right? It's just like, hey, guys, we're just going to shoot at you, poke. We're actually still having feel on the point. I don't know if you remember that or not. Fisheko showing exactly why he's so deadly on the Eevee. Does a beautiful blink in sword combo as well. Almost hits the reverse shot. 360s in the air now, Fish. Is that what we're doing? Is that what we're doing?
He's going for the montage.
Bittner with
Gotta
the double.
keep it going.
Fnatic grabbed the objective. It's just, this is scary, man.
I mean, comfortable is, I think, the only word that I could describe that. You feel at home when Fisheko plays Eevee. It's just a second hand to him. It's going in forward, completely normal, and the shots, the damage, the control he gets out of it is perfect for the team right now. And even though you end up losing Bugsy, the team hasn't stalled, stopped, or anything.
And this is bringing out some horrible memories, maybe some trauma for the side of Virtus.Pro, because they were about to beat, it's Bittner on the side of Virtus.Pro, about to beat Fnatic in their first time engaging on them last season in the PPL, but then Little Fishy says, hey, I got an Eevee in my pocket, and she likes quadra kills and stuff like that. And he ends up turning things around off of a 3-1 lead that Virtus.Pro had on Frog Isle. So this has already been the bane of their existence. Once in a crucial win, it feels like deja vu in my eyes.
Elven Path maybe having flashbacks. Well, Bittner during Picks and Bans was like, hey, you remember what you did to us last time? Let's try running that one here. And as it stands right now, even getting low, even maybe in a dangerous spot.
Ooh.
Gets out of there like it's nothing. Nice long-range shots, unlimited power, forced to fall back. Bittner finds the kill onto Elven Path. And now while MTZ is trying to do whatever he can up front, the healing is only so much as the damage outweighs it.
I mean, you know, we're looking the way they're playing. It doesn't feel like 3 flanks are being played here. It feels like 3 damage dealers are being played. They're playing them at range. They're aggressing, but they're not aggressing overly in terms of ambitiously, so that they are putting themselves in a I win or you win scenario. They're saying, we're probably just going to trade out. I might win. Good chance I will. I've got enough to escape, so you can't catch me. And by the way, we're fighting on the objective. And it's forcing Virtus.Pro to make more distressing decisions if they want to get back into this.
And it's been the perfect flex. I mean, you go to the payload push, and like you said, they're playing it more range, not getting too aggressive, not pushing back Virtus.Pro and giving them an advantage. And then you go to the point and they say, we can just circle around this. This is our domain. We are the vultures. You are the prey. Virtus.Pro really have to do some sort of switch up, some sort of change up. But it's so difficult because literally any angle is going to be somewhere you could be attacked.
I think the thing is, unlimited power is so good on this Bomb King. You've got Bomb King, you've got Cassie, you've got a Hair Trigger Barrack, I'm assuming. They could do a ton of damage on Brightmarsh, and you can let them loose, but this is going to be tough. The Midnight from Maeve and the Dome Shield immediately in response. Bugsy says, okay, I think that ult may be a little bit more important to this fight than mine, so I'm going to back off, let you get that one, and his team is going to be 40% healthier as a result of it. Fsheko getting double teamed here, trying to find a little bit of an answer, soaring up and down, still finds a shot on a Cassie. Blink in, finds it again. Fsheko, you dog, keeps getting those incredible plays. Will he ever end? It seems like Mad Mac knows the answer to that. It's an unequivocal no.
Following it up, shots still solid. MTZ is low. Same thing goes for Elvin, who gets eliminated right there. And while Fsheko does end up falling, I think his impact on this fight pretty much changed the game for them, or maybe just kept it right on path.
Did you see that emote? Is Bittner with the emote. That's telling me something. This has got to be a... You can't not have this be a grudge match. You can't not have this be something that in your mind as a player playing for this team, and they replace you. And you go to Fnatic and you say, okay, then I'm going to show you what you're missing out on. And I think this whole game has just been, despite it being clearly Fnatic, having a better run of things in this meta. This is a Fnatic meta, I think. Bittner has something on the line for this, and it's been interesting watching him perform at a very, very high level, almost the best that we've seen him.
I really love how Fsheko is approaching this fight. Just right here, not many champions can get to this point, so being able to blink out, get some poke, blink
He
in,
almost couldn't.
Sometimes being able to find it, sometimes not. You can get shot right there. And as you can see, the Soar coming through. Can he actually find any kills? It's just continually keeping him half health.
It's a great spot for Wormhole Eevee. I mean, you blink back, and that's complete safety. No one can really find it. Mad Mac's paying attention, and there's a Streak Justice. You blink, and you're dead. Nice Void Grip as well. Doing Jira things, making it easy for Bugsy to find a double. Looking to find a triple here, unlimited power. Going to buy some space and time with that Dread Serpent from Mad Mac, but I don't know if any amount of space, any amount of time, any amount of effort today is going to slow Fnatic. Bugsy still alive, getting the kill on the MTZ, and this Seismic Crash will do it all. Fnatic grab this set 3-0 convincingly with another 4-0 against Virtus.Pro.
Hopefully you didn't blink. Might have missed the whole set.
You might.
As it did come through Fnatic. Swift justice, I guess, is the only way to really go through with that one. I mean, 4-0, 4-0, 4-0.
Street justice.
Not having to even let up a little bit. There's maybe some fight in there from Virtus.Pro. You could definitely see where they had their successes, but it was never around the objective.
And this is what is so crazy about EU. Fnatic's so good, and Virtus.Pro so good as well. But, you know, every set has been like this for them until we got the Mouseport set. And that's why it was so cool to see these actual players get the moment to shine, to play. At this point, I'm just looking at a high-class functioning squad here in Fnatic, and I don't know if anyone's going to be able to slow their roll.
Man, so there you have it, right across the board. Fnatic, pretty you know,
nice,
clean.
I mean, Fsheko honestly looked straight up bored by the end of that. He was like slowing down, like he like looked up. Looked down, he blinked,
here.
Then he turned around and like landed and shot, and then blinked back, and then was just like, started shooting from mid-range. It was like the franticness of his play really slowed down there towards the end of it, and it's hard to give somebody MVP in this set when it was so dominant. I mean, you could have given it to either Bugsy or Fsheko or Bittner. Gera and Theo, frankly, when you got three teammates like that are just out fragging and you literally just like walk your way to victory like 3 games in a row, you don't have to do too much in a set like this for them. But I mean, all around, Fnatic's meta, Fnatic got their picks, Fnatic played their game.
Yeah, so out of them, like you said, really difficult to give an MVP, but Fsheko especially, a really tremendous moment in that last game with Eevee in game number 1 on the BK.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest, I picked MVP, and I'm biased, and I love Eevee. So there you have it. That's how I picked the MVP of this set, folks.
But just across the board, I think clean is really the word that you have to use for Fnatic.
Yeah.
They're gunning for that top spot and are continuing to be undefeated, even going into their next set, which will be against Na'Vi.
Yeah, and they're going to need to pull all these cylinders, pull all these tricks out of the hat to take down the world champions. First time those two teams will have played this season. And somehow this boy manages to keep his head on straight when he's doing, 1080 whirls in the sky coming off of his broom. But, that's neither here nor there. I don't know.
It's so hard to track. We're watching him and he's just swirling around and then he still manages to land and then, oh, let me kill Cassie. And you think, how did you even... You didn't even need a moment to just get your bearings on you.
It's a lot of feel, a lot of instinct with that character. It's a lot of fun to watch, and that's why I gave him MVP.
Yeah, so props to him and the rest of the team. But looking over at Virtus.Pro, and I mean, it's got to be disheartening for them with no victories. But they've still, I wonder, do you think that Elven Path may be kind of new going into this? It would be a bit of an adjustment being that the entire roster, aside from him, changed up.
I think you recognize that you're in a rebuilding phase as Virtus.Pro, and this is what you had to kind of do in Season 1. So am I excited that I haven't won a game yet? No, of course not. But am I absolutely just destroyed, managing expectations? I think, no one was expecting Virtus.Pro to come in and just completely smash the competition. If anything, we're expecting to do as well, hopefully, as they did in Season 1. This is exactly how they got their start in Season 1. And these last couple of weeks, that's when they hopefully maybe start to catch fire a little bit. But I think it's a long race to the top for them.
And they still had some really strong moments. If you look at their first match of the day when they were facing off against Mouse, it went all the way to Game 5. A lot of those games were 4-3s, and everybody was switching it up onto different champions as well and contesting that idea that certain people are stuck playing certain roles. So
for sure,
maybe taking that strategy and continuing to harness that could do them some good.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a big part of it, is they're still finding their identity, right? I was saying, I'm expecting Madara or maybe Unlimited Power to be playing this EV, and it was Elven Path, and it's like, well, I mean, we really just don't know who they are yet, so to speak. So I think there's some figuring out to do on our end and on their end, but hopefully by the end of the season, Virtus.Pro will have made even greater strides, and we've already seen very marked improvement from weeks 1 to week 3.
Yep. And then back on the side of Fnatic, they have another tough match ahead of them. So
they do.
Everything that just happened within this match, maybe that momentum can carry for them a little bit. And here in the broadcast to those watching, I don't know, maybe that'll sway some fans in one favor or another.
Yeah, I mean, you got to imagine that they're coming in feeling warmed up, feeling hot, but they are going against the world champions. A team that makes no mistakes, a team where there's nothing that they cannot play. But I'm very, very excited for this matchup. It's going to be basically the biggest one of the day. This is two undefeated teams going at it, and one of them is going to come out on top of it. And at this point, honestly, I think you're hoping Na'Vi lose if you're an NIP fan or playing for NIP, basically, because you have Na'Vi later in the day, and that helps try and get your fate back in your own hands a little bit. If Na'Vi lose this next matchup, and then we can take them down again and just keep knocking them down further and hopefully get ourselves back to that top 2 spot, hopefully get ourselves back in the conversation of the Masters land.
Yeah, there's so much that can happen within just these next series, but we do have, I believe it's Jera that's on standby with an interview, so let's go ahead and hear what he's got to say.
Yeah, welcome over here. I'm here with Jera, and of course, to begin things off, congratulations on your win. You just took down Virtus.Pro almost like it was nothing, and I'm sure that you guys weren't really feeling too much pressure.
Yeah, it was not a close game, more warm-up for the Na'Vi, so we have to see how next game goes. Just have to win the basic matches.
Yeah, coming into this one, I mean, you're going to be looking at going up against a matchup that the last couple times it's happened, it hasn't really gone your way. Are you guys feeling prepared for Na'Vi, or are you feeling maybe a little bit more timid about it?
I mean, Na'Vi on the Hi-Rez, they just destroyed us in the final. We hope to give a better fight this last time, but usually we always had good games against Na'Vi. It was like never a stomp as it was in the Hi-Rez final. That was like really bad from us.
So coming into this one, do you have, I mean, I guess I can't ask if you have any secret strategies, but do you have anything kind of up your sleeve that you're expecting Na'Vi to pull that you might be able to circumvent, or are you just going back kind of to the flanks that you just used to dominate Virtus.Pro?
I mean, you will find out soon. Not saying much.
I think everyone's going to be very excited for it, and I think I have one more question for you when it comes down to it, and that is just, when you are going into these sets, and specifically right now going up against Na'Vi, you're fighting for the LAN. Is your team starting to feel the pressure? Is it coming on? Or are you still kind of relaxed and not really too worried about these games?
I mean, it's just like another online PPL game. You have to win. We have to make sure we get top 2. We want to win PPL again like last season. And we kind of want to go 8-0 this season in PPL. That's the plan at least. We're aiming for 8-0 in PPL online.
Well, 2 teams undefeated. It's going to be you and Na'Vi. It's going to be interesting to see which one of you can actually come out on top. Because, I mean, as you had mentioned during PWC, it was not exactly the closest set that you had seen. So maybe this time we'll see it around. But before that, we get to go back to the desk and see what exactly they have to say about the upcoming matches.
Well, it looked like Jerry was calm, cool,
Jordy.
collected.
Jordy's chilling.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a real villain. He's been around the block, plenty of times, Wasn't pleased with the performance at Worlds. Who would have been? I think it's pretty clear-cut what they need to do today.
Yeah, I'm sure there's still a bit of sting. I know he mentioned it coming off of the PWC where they weren't really able to hold a candle in that matchup and are hoping to change things here today.
Yeah, I mean, they're a great team. They're looking good. I think this is their meta, and I'm super excited for this matchup. This is the biggest one of Week 3.
Yeah, so going on forward with this broadcast, we do have a couple more matches ahead. Taking a look at it, we're halfway through what we have in store for you today. We know that Mouse Sports and Virtus.Pro faced off, Fnatic and Virtus.Pro. Then it's time for Fnatic and Na'Vi before NIP come into the mix against Na'Vi.
Awesome. I mean, there's a lot of big matchups today. These last 2 are still kind of deciding a decent amount for this Masters LAN. Only the top 2, and that's not something we've really done before. Normally, it's everyone from the PPL and then like a PGS team or 2. They play like a gauntlet style thing and see what they can do. But this is a really different shake. And I kind of, be honest, I kind of like the direction because I love the international competition. That's really like how we kind of move this scene forward. I really feel and help everyone grow and everyone get those shots multiple times a year.
Yep.
Plus, I love Burrito and Kenga, and I want to see that.
I can't wait to see everybody get to actually go and clash together. But I think we all need to take a moment before we go into this next headline match. We got some Can You Feel Me on deck with our music, so go ahead and enjoy in the meantime.
Can you feel me?
No, you couldn't stand tall. So why didn't you call? So many years has gone by, but I think about you all the time. Looks like you're changing and all. But why didn't you call? Something in the air, always something in the air. Inexplicable, I can feel it in the air. Can you feel me? Can you feel me? Can you feel me? Do you miss me at all? Do you think about the things we used to do? No, you couldn't stand tall. So why didn't you call? So many years has gone by, but I think about you all